Hello, my astrology friends, and welcome to your January 2026 astrological forecast. Welcome and happy new year to you all. Today I'm going to go through an overview of what to expect for January 2026 from an astrological point of view, and then I'm going to look at each of the 12 zodiac signs, which includes your sun sign or your rising sign. So you can look at two zodiac signs unless, of course, your sun sign and rising sign is exactly the same. Right, let's get started by looking at the overview to what to expect for January 2026. Now, I always look at like planets that are retrograde, and in this case, we've got just Jupiter and Uranus, the planets that are retrograde this month. So most of the planets are moving forward, which is always very, very good. We like that. The first thing that we actually start off with is a full moon at 13 degrees in Cancer. This is on the 3rd of January, so right at the start. And just before that, on the 2nd, the asteroid Chiron goes direct in Aries as well. Now, it's an interesting full moon. We do have a slight wide conjunction with Jupiter at the time. However, it's basically the opposition with Mars, which is problematic. Mars is in Capricorn, so it's exalted. It's also going to be conjunct Venus. Mars is going to be conjunct Venus. So this full moon in Cancer is going to be opposing Mars and Venus in Capricorn. And that to me is a little bit on the tricky side. Not an easy combination, quite volatile, I would say. And if you've got zodiac signs around about in Capricorn and Cancer, Libra or Aries, around about 11 degrees till around about 15 degrees in those zodiac signs, and you might find it's a tricky period. So you've just got to kind of try and navigate this and not allow things to get too magnified or too out of control, because this is what can happen under a full moon. Everything becomes illuminated and we respond in an emotional way, sometimes rather too much. So that's one of the first things to start us off, to kickstart the new year. The planet Mercury starts off in Sagittarius on the 1st and then goes straight into Capricorn on the 2nd. So when it moves out of Sagittarius, it comes out of its retrograde sign that it started off with back at the end of last year. So that's quite good. Venus has said it's in Capricorn until the 18th when it moves into Aquarius. Then you've got Mars, that's in Capricorn, it's exalted, but it does move into Aquarius about 22nd, 23rd. You've got Jupiter retrograde, starts off at 21 degrees, ends at 17 degrees in Cancer. Saturn is moving forward through Pisces. Really, it's going to be its last full month of being in Pisces for about a 29-year period. You've got Uranus in Taurus, 27 degrees at the beginning, still at 27 degrees by the end, hanging around. Interesting if you've got that 27 degrees heavily in your chart in the fixed signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. You've got Neptune. Neptune's interesting. Starts off at Pisces, 29 degrees, right at that critical degree, that most sensitive degree. Very psychic, kind of absorbent. But will move around about the 26th, 27th into Aries, where it will remain for a 14-year period. You've got Pluto at 2 degrees in Aquarius right at the start, ends at 3 degrees. And of course, Chiron is moving steadily, goes direct on the 2nd, through Aries. Now, interesting. I think the big news for me looking at this would have to be the Neptune. I think, this is at 29 degrees at that heightened degree, and if you've got any kind of Neptunian energy going around you, or 29 degrees, it's really it's quite impact. And I think that is going to have huge implications as to the end of a particular cycle that started in March 2011 for us all as a collective. And I've talked about this before, about the kind of post-truth kind of cultural environment that we've lived in, and this kind of conspiratorial aspect, which, you know, whether it's true or not is not for me to say. But what it is to say is it has implications, and has had implications for the way that we communicate and the way that we deal with stuff. And you know, for me, this is an accentuation of January, as Neptune is at 29 degrees, right at that sort of pinnacle aspect. And it actually sort of got there sort of halfway through December of last month. So we're really kind of very sensitive as to what's out there, and that could be with advertising, it could be with social media, it could be with politics and what we're told and how we respond to that. And I think this is absolutely huge for kind of how things are kind of moving forward. So that's the first kind of thing that I really kind of notice as well. And of course, as I mentioned, that full moon that's taking place as we move forward through the month. We've got a new moon at 28 degrees in Capricorn. Now that is on the 18th, which is not as powerful as the full moon earlier on, but certainly has a certain amount of power to it, new beginning. The 20th is also interesting because the Sun enters Aquarius, so does Mercury. So the Sun and Mercury are going to be conjunct to each other. And then on the 23rd, Mars will enter into Aquarian. So we go into an Aquarian kind of energy towards the end of the month quite a bit. And this, to me, symbolizes things looking quite humanitarian, collective, group-orientated, and idealistic. On the 26th, that's when Neptune enters into Aries, UK time, 1734. Really kind of important. That's a big day, you know, that we're looking at here. And so for me, you know, there's a lot of energies that are swirling around for this new beginning. I don't think it's a bit of a slow shift in energy. It's not particularly one of those months like, oh my God, this is kind of, you know, going on. Apart from that full moon right at the beginning, I think that's really kind of powerful because of the opposition with Mars and Venus, particularly, you know, and then you've got the Sun and you've got the Moon. That's a kind of extremely heightened one. And the Neptune shift of energy. Listen, Neptune went into Aries last year, springtime last year. So we've experienced a little bit, but this is a time that it goes back in and kind of remains, you know, and then we've got Saturn will also be going into Aries in February. So we've got two, you know, and solidify itself there. So we've got two big shifts coming up. But, you know, particularly, I have to say, I think the Neptune thing is huge, because that's when we start to see things being implemented that are going to set the tone and the theme for the next 14 years. And I look at Neptune as kind of culture in general, and media, and that comes under social media. It comes under the bracket of films and television to some extent, and just cultural and music. And, you know, you just have to go back to 2011 and some of the things that started to manifest then to see how that's going to play out, because it's going to play out an awful lot, I think. And I think you'll start to see the first murmurs of that come the end of January, going into February, and definitely for 2026. You know, I think it's very strong. And because Saturn is right at the end of Pisces as well, we've got that accentuation of kind of things feeling like they're coming to the end of a particular cycle. I think that's very powerful. Okay, let's go into the 12 signs of Zodiac. So we're going to start off with Aries. Aries rising and Aries sun sign. So either if your sun is in Aries, listen, and if your rising sign is Aries, listen on. But before I get started, do subscribe to the channel, and of course also do like the video. It all helps spread the word of astrology. Okay, so Aries. Okay, the first 2 weeks of you guys is going to be a lot to do with work. Your ruler Mars is in your 10th house. It's exalted in Capricorn. It's happy. it's not so happy maybe in the 10th house, but it can get a lot done, and it can make you feel like you're achieving a lot in a short space of time. The only thing is that full moon on the 3rd does slightly catch you out between trying to get a balance between home, family, you know, and your own sense of security and your ambition and your want to actually move forward in your career. There's a lot going on there, and that is going to take up a lot of energy in that first week of January. And you might feel a little bit sort of like impulsive and a little bit unsure of how to go about things without kind of being like a bull in a china shop. But I feel like this is quite a powerful month for you when you can achieve a lot. Venus is also in your 10th house as well. So when we go into the second week of January, it actually starts to look a lot easier for you. You know, and then your planet Mars will move into your second house around about on the 23rd, which, sorry, not your second house, your 11th house, which is to do with your friendships, your groups, your ideals, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, what you want to get out of life. And I think that that's where a lot of your activity will start to come in for the second part of the month. It's a very direct month. It's a very dynamic, and a lot can be accomplished in a small space of time. And I think you've got to look at it in that particular way, because it's such an energy about it here that's really very, very powerful for you. The other thing is, on the 26th, Neptune enters into your own sign. So if you're born near the spring equinox around about the 20th of March, 21st of March, then you're going to feel that energy of Neptune coming in and wanting you to go beyond and to explore things from a completely different angle and to really have quite an impact on you. And I think that's going to have a real shift in your mentality and your idealism, in your need to you know, transcend beyond the ordinary and go into new realms. It could be a new business idea, it could be a new way of presenting yourself to the world. You feel that you want to be a little bit less direct and a bit more kind of go with the flow energy. But certainly early degrees Aries, that's going to have a complete shift with you and will continue for the rest of the year as Neptune transits through Aries. So that's really kind of powerful. Okay, let's go into Taurus. Taurus Sun or Taurus Rising. Okay, guys, look, the one thing I would say about Taurians is, let's look at Venus. Venus in the first, you know, 2 weeks is going to be, up until the 18th, is going to be in a fellow earth sign like yourself, Capricorn, which is your 9th house, which is the house of travel, learning, education, metaphysics, morals, ethics. You know, it's the house where we find meaning to life and ask those big questions. But I call it a movement house. It's a placement that needs movement, and Venus is in there. So you might be thinking a bit more philosophically about life and where you want it to go for the year ahead. You might have a need to travel. That might not necessarily mean abroad, but just to be moving and to get moving. And so it gives you a kind of a real sense of hope that comes in about 2026 and the possibilities and how that can kind of move things forward and where that can kind of go. And that in itself, excuse me, really kind of gets things moving for you. And I think that's very, very powerful. At the same time, on the 26th, the planet Neptune is moving into your 12th house. In modern astrology, Neptune rules the 12th house. It's comfortable in that kind of arena. It wants to explore the subconscious. It wants to take itself away from the mundane and the materialistic, and go into this kind of dream world. Are you catching me, Taurians? Because Taurians might be going, oh my God, that doesn't sound like what I'd like to do. I've got to stick with what I know. No, it's going to be very subtle and in the background, exploring bigger themes and the sense of fantasy and the sense of metaphysics and yoga and meditation and creativity and wanting to explore that. That shift is coming, and it's not something that's going to be felt straight away in the month of January, but it's going to be kind of in the background for you. This is a strong month. If you're born right at the end of Taurus, you know, you're born on the sort of 19th, 18th, 19th, 18th, 19th of May. Let's stick in the 17th as well. then you've got Uranus on your sun going retrograde, and that's hard work. So your life at the moment is, excuse me, all over the place, chaotic, don't know where it's going. So therefore, you're trying to kind of navigate through that. But apart from that, you know, Taurians are having an easier time than a lot of signs, and they'll be kind of a little bit thankful for that, because it's been challenging. The only issue I would say was that Saturn still in your you know, still sort of hanging around your 11th house. So although you're in this position where, you know, you're you know, there is a bit of optimism, there's a little bit of work to do with friendships and people that are close to you, and keeping that quite tightly to yourself, and building sort of strong foundations in friendships, I think, as well, particularly. Okay, let's go to Gemini. That's Gemini sun sign or Gemini rising. Mercury, right. New Year's Day, bang, it's in Sagittarius. 2nd of January, moves into Capricorn. Oh, you'll be pleased. You'll be pleased, I think. But it moves into the murky depths of the 8th house. And the murky depths of the 8th house is a little bit like an introverted kind of combination. So everyone's going, yeah, new year and all this kind of stuff. You Geminis might be going, okay, I've got to go within. I've got to check in with myself. I've got to take myself out. I'm not into the whole idea of trying to initiate things. I want to see how I feel about just general life internally, and what's my motivation and how am I moving forward, and all those major things. And then once you've kind of got that, then you can kind of push forward. So it's a little bit of a reflective month. That pushing forward will probably happen around about the 21st, when Mercury kind of moves into your 9th house, which it's really comfortable in, and you start to explore and initiate your own ideas for yourself. So it's just that 2 weeks from the 2nd until the 21st that you kind of go in yourself. Very unlike Geminis, and Geminis like to keep busy and they like to do many projects and keep the mind occupied, and then suddenly there might be a feeling that there's a withdrawal, that you kind of go, hang on, the people around you going, why are you withdrawing? Why are you withdrawing? But actually it's a lot to do with the fact that you're in this position where you feel like you have to find out what's going in your own psyche and how to deal with that. That being powerful. You've also accentuated the fact that Jupiter is also passing through your 12th house. It's going retrograde, but it does mean that there has been a much more reflective element to you since the 9th of June of last year, that's sort of come in and wanted to explore what makes you tick a lot more. Okay, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising. Really powerful month, because the full moon and new moons are in the angular houses you got on the 3rd. The full moon at about 13 degrees in your own sign. So that's a very, very powerful, very, very emotionally driven full moon, because it's opposite you know, it's opposite the sun, it's opposite Mars, it's opposite Venus. It's really kind of a very strong emotional time, and it's a time of bringing things up to the surface that need to be brought up and need to be dealt with, and you cannot hide. Sorry, Cancerians, sometimes you do have a tendency to hide from what's really going on and kind of, you know, go backwards. But, you know, this is not that time. You've got to kind of face your fears a lot here, and that's going to have quite an impact. This all happens over a kind of 2-week period until we get to the 18th, when you have the new moon in your opposite sign of Capricorn, which kind of eases things and gets things started for you for the new year, and you start to build on that. And that has quite a powerful kind of, you know, aspect for you. So I really sort of feel like that for me is like that really gets your new year into gear. You've still got Jupiter traveling. It starts off at 21 degrees and ends at 17 degrees in Cancer, going backwards in the sky. So if you're born in those degrees in Cancer, you might be getting a bit of fortune, circumstances, or opportunities that were meant to present themselves coming back in, but you've got to check that the foundations are just right for that. You know, Mars is in your opposite sign, so relationships generally up until the 22nd, 23rd are going to be quite powerful, where you may experience a little bit of projection from other people that are coming in and expressing their anger. It's not to take the bait and not to allow yourself to be thrown by that. You know, people have their own agendas and their own problems and their own issues, and they just go for it. So just be kind of very aware of that. Okay, a Leo Sun, Leo Rising. There's a lot happening in the second half of the month, because you've got Mars, Mercury, and Venus all going into your seventh house, which is the house of relationships and other people. And plus you've got Pluto in there, and I've often talked about Pluto. So, you know, there's a real focus on relationships in the second half of January for you, and learning the art of how to communicate effectively with partners, potential partners, or just people in general. You know, you're going to have to express yourself in a much more positive and a way that is not too detached and not too objective, and look at the human element of things rather than, you know, just getting caught out by your own ideas of what relationships are. Aquarius is a very human sign. It works on logic, but at this time, I think you're going to have to use your emotions to connect with other people and to engage with them and listen to what their needs are before kind of responding. I think that's important. You know, for you in going forward this month. It's you know, it's a powerful month. There's also a lot going on in the 12th house for you, which is the subconscious. So it's recognizing patterns of behavior that are taking place that are not doing you any good. And that's particularly around about the second, the third, and the fourth on that full moon that hits your 12th house. That basically means that you're going to bring up some things that are not, some habits that need addressing and need to be sorted out. Hey ho, let's say it's the new year, so you can address them. You can go, this is my New Year's resolution, if you like, but you do have to, and you may be around about the third more aware of them instead of them being a kind of unconscious patterns. Okay, Virgo Sun, Virgo rising. Okay, look, a lot's going on in your fifth house. First of all, Mercury from the 2nd to the 21st is going for the fifth house. That's quite a nice combination. It really deals with your self-expression and connecting with people in a kind of jovial way, and sort of being a bit more outgoing than you have been of late. This is also kind of accentuated by Venus as well, and Mars. So a lot of fifth house energy that's taking place for this month. So it's a busy month socially. It's a busy month for engaging in your interests, for expressing yourself, but being a little bit dramatic now and again. It's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, you know, sometimes we kind of need to be, but there is this kind of sense of trying to maintain a certain level of balance and to not be swayed by yourself. I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. You know, check your ego this month. Try not to allow yourself to get carried away with things, or to think that everything is going to be fine and you don't need to worry about it. The fact is like there is a lot going on here, and there's a lot of activity, and there's a lot of planting of seeds and projects and things that you're putting in place for later in the year. Okay, Libra rising or Libra sun. Okay, Venus, right, the first half, the Venus for you guys in the 4th house. So you're really kind of looking at the home environment and actually rectifying any issues that you've had in the home environment or family issues that you've had, and working those through. And then Venus will move on the 18th, you know, into your into Aquarius, into your 5th house, which kind of gets things moving quite socially, and quite a playful aspect that comes in. That last week of actually January is lovely. It's lovely. I think with you guys, it's just allowing yourselves to get kind of into that situation where you need to be really honest with yourself, and, you know, be at peace with yourself, and then you'll be at peace with other people. Okay, Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. Right, okay, lots going on with the 3rd house. It's all about the communication here for you for January, and making sure that you communicate effectively, but not too much in a direct way. Things can get, misunderstandings can happen this month for you, Scorpio. So you've got to be really kind of careful how you tread and how you communicate with those particularly loved ones. You've got ideas that you want to put in. You get kind of frustrated. You want things to actually really get moving, and they're not getting moving as much as you like, and you get confused by that, and you're like, oh, come on, let's go. So it's a really kind of interesting kind of time period for you, I feel, January. And it, I think there is an extra sensitivity that's there, an absorption of extra sensitivity that's really going to come out for you for this month, and that's going to be really interesting because it's how you use that, and whether you use it effectively or whether you use it to a detriment. You're very aware of people's motivations, and you can find the hidden truths in people and know exactly what they're thinking and how they're moving. That's okay, but sometimes people don't want to know that. They have to find it out for themselves. So you've got to be the one who judges that correctly. Okay, Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Rising. Okay, Sagittarius. Yeah, on the first day of the year, Mercury's in your own sign, and then it moves off and goes into, of course, into Capricorn, your second house. And there's a packed house of the second house happening this month, which is the financial house, which is the house of value, self-value, and how you actually manage your money. Sagittarius do like to spend money. They do. But so I feel like with you guys, you've got to manage your money and manage your expectations of what you can earn and plan for 2026. Because that's what's really going to be important for you if you allow yourself. But the thing is with Sagittarius is that they do have a tendency to go, oh, I'll be all right. And that sometimes can work great. But it's really focusing on how you value yourself, how you earn your money, what you do with your money. Do you need to be clever with it? Do you need to change things around? All these things are going to really kind of come in and have an effect on you. So it's trying to stay quite true to yourself, but also your own values. Your ruler, Jupiter, is still traveling through Cancer, but it's retrograde. So it is a bit reflective. It is a bit looking backwards rather than moving forwards. So instead of a bang at the beginning of the year, it's a bit of a whimper. Okay, Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Rising. Listen, guys, you've got a very, very busy month. You've got Mercury, Venus, Mars in your own sign. You've got a full moon to contend with on the 3rd in your opposite of Cancer, which is your 7th house, which is relationships. You've got a new moon on the 18th, 28 degrees in Capricorn. This is a really, and it's your birthday month for most of you. So you've got a very, very busy month. There's a lot of expected on you, a lot of responsibilities expected, a lot of you to make decisions. You won't mind that. It's just that sometimes you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit sort of, oh God, this is a bit hectic. But try not to worry, because I think what you're setting yourself up for is you're planning your month, your year ahead really kind of effectively, but you've got to ask for help from other people. And this is all to do with Jupiter in your 7th house is going retrograde. So in order for you to get your ambitions and get what you want to complete for 2026, you need the help of other people. And that means you're going to have to ask people, look, I need a bit of assistance here. And that's what's really kind of going to move things forward for you. And it's that realization that you need help from other people that's going to be the main thing. Okay, Aquarians, it's all a bit slow for Aquarian Sun or Aquarian Rising at the start, and it sort of picks up in the last sort of 2 weeks, mainly because the Sun goes into your own sign, then Mercury, also Venus and Mars. So it feels like it's quiet time, and then the last week and a half it really picks up and it's really kind of busy, and you're the center of attention, and then there's a lot focused on you, and suddenly it's been quiet, maybe with work or stuff like that, and it really kind of picks up for you an awful lot. Look out for the conjunction between Mars and Pluto. That's happening around about the 27th, 26, 27, 28. That's an interesting one. You've also got Venus. So you've got, as the planets Mercury, Venus and Mars enter into Aquarius, they make a conjunction with Pluto. So it's kind of quite intense. You've got a lot of Plutonic energy coming with you, a lot of transformation, a lot of ideas really kind of manifesting that actually won't come out straight away, but will come out later. And it's kind of interesting, particularly in around about July and August, when things are happening the opposite of Leo. So it's planting seeds quite a bit. On the 26th, also, you've got Neptune going into your into your third house. So the way that you communicate is going to be much more creative, much more adaptable, much more free thinking, and that's starting to happen as well. So it's a really kind of busy month for Aquarians, but it at the start, the first 2 weeks is really quiet, just nothing's much happening. Okay, and finally Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising. Okay, yeah, this is all on Saturn and Neptune. I've been saying this for a while here, but we'll come to the last stage. 26, Neptune goes into your second house. It leaves your own sign. That's it. You've done Neptune. But until the 26th, it might feel a little bit wibbly wobbly. You may be very absorbent, very highly sensitive, or feeling a lot of other people's emotions. You've also got Saturn there. That starts at 26 degrees in Pisces, ends at the end of the month of 28 degrees. So it's getting to that very sensitive 29 degrees. It's a real kind of a sense of new beginnings and ends of cycles. And that's what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel very strange, but it's felt like that for the last couple of months. So it's not anything that's kind of, oh my God, it feels like you're sort of moving forward, but then you're not. And it's that kind of in between two worlds. Pisces kind of likes that. They can get quite creative on that, and that's quite good. But I sort of feel like with the Neptune moving out of their own sign, it'll be like the fog lifting and like, oh, okay, what was that all about for the last 14 years? Oh, right, okay, this is who I am. Oh, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I feel like it's going to have quite a big impact for most of you. But the ones who are born at the end, 17th, 18th, 19th of March, 20th, they're really going to feel it. They're going to be like, oh, I feel so much more grounded, So that's quite a big shift for a lot of Pisces. Okay, guys, look, there is your horoscopes for January 2026. I'm going to release some videos to do with the year 2026 for all the 12 zodiac signs, the whole year overviews for you. But Happy New Year. Remember, subscribe and like the video. It all helps to spread the word of astrology. Thank you for watching.